Hello and welcome to the Change Gang podcast with me, your host, Laura Ordile. I'm here to help you hold on to your sanity and your soul as you move through big change. I'm here to guide you from frustration to flow in your life, bridging the practical and the woo, just for you. Let's go. All right. Welcome to the Week Change Gang. I have the amazing Melanie McCool with me here today. She is the Entrepreneur's Hypnotherapist, and she has worked for a long time being an entrepreneur and for a good while in the hypnotherapy side of things. We're going to really kind of dive in a little bit today about some of the stuff that she does, because I love that one of her favorite topics is burnout recovery hypnosis. I thought that was great to talk about because so many people end up in that situation, but you combine so many things with that: the success, money mindset, sales confidence, the whole ball of wax. So welcome, Melanie, and we're going to have a good conversation.
Awesome. Glad to be here. I'm excited to share with people how and why hypnotherapy is like a major difference maker for entrepreneurs, especially those who find themselves in that place where they're overwhelmed, they're overworking, and they realize they are sacrificing what they love or their health for the sake of business. And we're going to talk about how and why I've seen that here, and how we can actually turn that around for them. It's pretty.
Yes, I would love to. Yes, because I think it's so important. And I mean, one of the whole reasons I think most entrepreneurs dive into being quote unquote an entrepreneur is for the freedom, is obviously for success. But I'm going to say 99% of the people I talk to in terms of being an entrepreneur want the freedom, if not 100%.
Right on. Yeah.
And so when you put yourself into a situation where you're not allowing even a little bit of that freedom, a little bit of something that's there, then you do move into that burnout situation.
Yeah. And I think it's important to describe burnout in its actual official definition as per the World Health Organization, because people talk about burnout a lot. They throw it around. They use it in all different circumstances. But burnout, as defined by the World Health Organization, is a mental syndrome. So they only talk about the mental syndrome associated with from unmitigated workplace stress. Okay, so having to do with work or your job, first of all. It results in overwhelming exhaustion that you don't rest from. So you could go on vacation, you come back and you realize you're still just as frazzled as you were. 2, it's this kind of resentfulness or cynicism, a distance from your work. So you started this thing so that with a fire in your belly, excited, not only to do what you were going to do to impact the world, but for your own freedom. And here you are, resentful of this business, like completely like, wow. Then you have what's called escape fantasies. Like, I could just throw it all away and move to another country where it costs a fraction to live, and it's like, forget it, I'm done. I'm going to leave. I'm leaving everything, including my family, like the whole thing. That's like escape fantasy. And 3 is when actually you're taken out of the game. So then that's the lack of production. The mental syndrome actually does result in brain changes. Okay, so that is happening because the brain changes. Unmitigated stress causes brain changes. Now, that's where the World Health Organization stops. But we know that stress is the number one cause of doctor's visits, unmanaged stress. Diseases resulting from stress is why most people end up at the doctor. They say up to 80% or more. And so that's what happened to me, is, I had the burnout. I actually probably had it 4 times or more before I got really sick. And then it went over, it tripped the other wire. So I went to the point where I was actually physically sick, and I ended up at the doctor having burned out half my thyroid and unable to work. I think it's really important to educate people about the severity of this thing called burnout that everybody thinks they're just supposed to push through. They don't know what I know now, which is that it can change your brain and cause financial ruin, cause you to shut down your business and cause financial ruin. And I will add that heart attack is still the leading cause of death for women. I was at the heart doctor multiple times during this time. You can sleep when you're dead, BS, hustle mentality, the burnout culture is extremely dangerous.
Yeah,
So I just want to throw that in. It's like, this is serious stuff we're talking about. And that's why I have this mission. Like, okay, if I can, first of all, let people know who have been there that it's safe to come back to work, because it is, I'm here. Hi. Then that's part of what I get to do, is help people bounce back from burnout. But if I can help people to never get there in the first place, I've really done my job. I actually have a protocol that I developed because when I went looking for help, there was nothing out there that even addressed the real underlying source of my stress. The 24/7 stress that was going on between my own ears and the habits that were running, they were not addressed by the instructions to go meditate, go do yoga, get some sleep. Hello, I had insomnia. And get some work-life balance. That was already gone. My habits were not. You tell somebody, you got to have work-life balance and you won't be burning out. And the burnout person's going, dude, I'm a super achiever. I'm an overachiever. I don't stop. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
The habits are running the show.
What does that protocol look like that you?
Well, it is the 5-step method to accelerate business growth without burnout.
Ooh,
and I actually have a workshop. It's called Zero Burnout Business Growth, that I give this away because I'm telling you, if I could save some people from my fate, I'm all about it. 4 of the steps, no, not 4. 3 of the steps are very common. You will have heard them. If you've ever been so stressed that you knew that things were starting to go really wrong, you would have gone and looked it up. But I addressed step 1 with the most powerful method that I found for my body so step 1 is neutralize the biochemistry of stress every day. And that is done by actually upregulating dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Because when you're stressed to the max and you've got adrenaline and epinephrine running through your veins and your cortisol is out of control, keeping you from sleeping and resting and ever getting better, you gotta actually give it the happy dose every day. So step 1, neutralize the biochemistry of stress. Step 2 is to address the number 1 source of 24/7 stress. That's here. And step 2 is what you're never going to see anywhere else unless you're talking to hypnotherapists, because you can't just address that at a conscious level. If I could, I would have, but it wasn't working. And that's why I sought hypnotherapy to heal. So, because otherwise it's like you have, let's say you're doing these things to neutralize biochemistry of stress every day, things like heart coherence, which is what I teach in my course. But it's like you've got a fire extinguisher, but every day you're running back into the burning building. It's completely nonsense. Or and it actually just, it increases the frustration of it. It's like, wait, I'm doing this every day. Shouldn't I be better? Oh, that's what I was doing to heal initially. If it wasn't for that, I might not have made it. Who knows? I do think that kind of work actually helped me to, maintain my health and my heart. But it was step 2, which is really for entrepreneurs. It's combating things like the inner critic, comparisonitis, the imposter syndrome, and the I should be further along than I am, thoughts, all that stuff, that kind of thing. And the thing that's running whatever the habits are. And that's another conversation. But people think of them as money blocks. I think of them as conflicts. And if it's okay, I'll share a little bit of what I think people think of when they think of me and why I burned out. So if I tell you that I was making more money than most people and I was still working 14 hours a day, most people are going to assume that it's because I wanted to bigger and bigger, that I wanted more, that there was never enough, that I didn't feel like, it's more money. No. The underlying thing that I found out in hypnotherapy was that rich people are jerks. And if I'm not working hard for this money, people will think I'm a jerk. And this is running subconsciously. It's not something I have freaking had any, excuse me, but I had no idea, or just sort of like, rich people are jerks. Good people do good things with their money. I'm a good person, right? But I didn't know this then. And so, first of all, the assumption that you think that it was because I wanted more. You're making a substitute that you need to check because that could be one of your blocks. Like, oh, that's like people who are trying to make more, there's something wrong with them. They're wrong. They did it to themselves kind of thing. And the idea that you actually have to work really hard to make money, you got to check that because billionaires would be dead if it actually took really hard work to make money. So anyway, I was working 14 hours a day when I didn't need to because I was giving it away. Literally was giving it away as fast as I could because I wanted to prove that I wasn't like the people that I had learned about when I was young. Those stories were told to me, over me, around me. There was a jerk in the family who didn't share and didn't even pay their child support, that kind of thing. So I was like, oh, I got to work really hard and I got to give it away to prove I'm a good person. Oh my God. Anyway, so that's that part. And then step 3 is once you get your head clear is to actually consider the things that you were sacrificing and do them. Spend the time. Yeah. And that's the habits of, we call work-life balance. It's commonly understood, but you're not going to do it until you get the conflicts out of the way. It's just not until this brain of yours knows that it is safe for you to take the time out and spend it with the people that you love and go on that hike and whatever else it is that you are not doing that's really good for your soul, you do it. And then from there, step 4 is to, from this new mind, ask, what's my next right step? You actually will then take action from a new mind is step 5. But your mind is not new until you get the junk out of the way. So I know I gave that all in a
I love it though.
That's 5 steps. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love one of the things she said, because I've always had a problem with the word blocks too. And to me, it was always like, it's not a block. It's just a thought that is programmed there,
and thought is a decision. A thought is a decision, whether you know it
moves into a belief, and you have that belief that is instilled. It's like the base programming for your computer. It's the base programming. You don't know every line that's in there for that base programming unless you go looking for it. Unless you go looking for what's the problem here.
Yeah.
And then you can pull that out, pull the problem out, rewrite the code if you need to. One of the things I love too about hypnotherapy that a lot of people don't mention, and some of what you said there is important, because when you move into that new mind and that new way of being, it's often that you've cleared the crap, you've cleared the things that are there, but you've also built up and reinforced the things that are going to help you go forward with that mind. You
get rid of the old crappy programming, that was keeping you stuck, and then you install the good. So it's like, oh, I'm excited and you know what? I can tell I've been here for too long. A little subconscious reminder gets my mind, get the heck up, go outside, go play. Like literally my brain goes, it's my own best friend. It's new program. But that's what happened. And it can happen after you've cleared the crap. So I think maybe we could reinforce this, really important, because a lot of people think they can go listen to YouTube and get skinny and rich, right? If that was true, we could. The problem with that is it's like you're overwriting an old mixtape. It doesn't work, right? If you still got those conflicts hiding under the surface, it might work for a short time, actually. I've actually heard that. It'll give you a little boost, but ultimately the old is going to come back. It's going to resurface its head. So that's why working with a hypnotherapist is so important. And then all of that other kind of stuff that you want to learn. Who do I get to be now that I don't have that? It can sink in, but not before we get rid of the underlying.
No.
And that's what I realized with these, I've worked with tens of thousands of people before I became a hypnotherapist, in sales and marketing and training, and as a coach and consultant. And I saw the same patterns over and over again. I didn't understand them until I did the work myself. And then I found the ways to help them to see and dissolve or get rid of the old programming, so we can, I guess if I were going to surmise it, it would be, now I get to help adults do what they consciously said they wanted to do.
Yes.
We get their subconscious on board, the self-sabotage out of the way, subconscious on board, and now they get to, go and be and do what they said they were going to do.
Yeah. And I always say I do that so that you can do it in a quicker, easier, and more complete way. Because I often say, there's a lot of people out there that have made changes in their lives, that have pushed through, that have done the things. but it took them a long time. It took me difficult.
15 really hard years to break through some of the programming that was in me, right? And it still wasn't all of it, clearly, because I ended up sick. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's the other part. It's way more difficult.
And then it took me about 4 months to get freaking clearer than ever. Not 4 months of hypnotherapy even.
Right.
Hypnotherapy was a short, thing. But it was 4 months later that my body and my mind and all the things started to come on board in such a way that I was like, my goodness, if I had known this when I was a kid, geez, what a different life it would have been.
If you work with a hypnotherapist, you get that completeness.
Yeah.
That I mentioned. You can go to YouTube, and oftentimes I actually give my clients recordings to supplement to kind of help and allow.
After.
But we're doing during the process of doing the sessions because those sessions are for you. They are, we have that conversation, we talk about you, and the things that I'm doing are for you, and it's not going to be the same. It might be the same in general, but I'm always adjusting and changing and doing a little bit something different, using different words for the person that I'm dealing with because
you've heard them from them, right?
Is anchoring in something different. Yeah, they need.
give you the metaphor to work with to help them, and that's all the difference in the world. Yeah.
And I mean, it's so interesting because I hear people sometimes how a word can be so valuable and different when you're working with people. Some people will learn about, I just really need to surrender, or I really need to do this. And if you talk about surrender oftentimes with someone who's had any kind of abuse or anything like that, they will buck back at that
exactly.
word.
You'd better hear what it is that, absolutely. My goodness, that's so important.
Yeah.
And sometimes in the work that I do, I get to help people reclaim words though. Okay. So one of the things that I have them do, one of my exercises in the Zero Burnout is for them to hear what their subconscious says when they just hear certain words like wealth, money, rich, because some of those words have emotional charge just because they're families of origin, or they've heard it over and over again in society or in their culture. You can't use that word, but it's just a word. Just like chores are just a word. And I reclaimed the word chores when 20 years ago, if you said chores, I would have felt like the teenager who was like, gag me with a spoon. And now I'm like, yay, I get to do the chores around my house that I paid for and I love, and yay, reclaiming a word. So, but you got to know who you're working with, because you can't say rich to somebody who's like, oh my God, can't do that.
No. And that happens. You talked about some of those things, those conflicts, and it was hilarious because I discovered one of my own one time when I worked in corporate, and I would drive around all the time, all day or day. And I would drive around and I would see these vehicles, really nice cars, the Corvettes or the fun little sporty cars or the big extravagant whatever. And I would have this instant reaction of, gosh, that's ridiculous, or that's this, or just a difficult reaction. And then one day I was driving and I was like, what is that about? What is going on? And so I had to go, find out for myself what was going on and kind of retrain that, go in and clear that, and kind
of. Because it was affecting your money story, no matter how you look at it. So one of the things I teach, I have a course, Program for Prosperity. So I teach self-hypnosis, and when that metacognition comes up like that, I actually teach them to say, ooh, that's great. That's for me. And maybe I really wouldn't want the gas guzzler because that's against my personal ethical, but still, even if I feel a judgment towards that person, a gas guzzler, or maybe I could even say I live in, doesn't matter where I live, but like a big truck, like I go, oh, that's for me. I don't really want a big truck, but it is just changing that little reaction, or at least like I see you, funny one who is judging the big truck. You don't know what he needs that for, whatever. It's an acknowledgement. That's powerful right there. And when people do this work, really, and I did this for me. Okay, it's not theory. Obviously, this is my experience. I developed the protocol because it wasn't there when I needed it. But I also saw that I was able to make more money with less work. I proved it for myself, and that's great. But more importantly, my clients prove it. So here's the thing. The hustle grind culture, you can sleep when you're dead. This is what people think they have to do to succeed. I'm here to tell you that if you weren't aware, your entrepreneurial mind needs sleep, play, and doing nothing. When you give it that, there is a genius that can arise. If you are filling every day thinking you got to solve a problem cognitively, consciously, the thinker has taken over, and it's time to prove to yourself that you can chill out and make more money.
Yes.
That you can get to the point where you can have a renewed mind and come up with new creative ideas. And it is fabulous because it works. Like, people literally make more money with less work, and there's a ripple effect in the people that they work with. Same thing.
And so one of the things that you really are kind of sharing and moving through with some of that right now is by using hypnotherapy and how valuable hypnotherapy can be. And you and your husband are actually really kind of on a journey, on a mission, you say, to open the doors for that. And I would love for you to share for a moment a little bit about, obviously in your own life, you found that was so important. And then in the lives of the people that you're working with, you see the importance of that. But what was the key that said, we need to get this out there more. We need to let people know more about hypnotherapy, the educational side. I know you talked about being an educator and being, in that type of a situation. Was that part of what drove you, the inner educator, to bring that out, or what brought that out for you?
Oh, I could just tell you that it's part of my big love. Okay. And our mission is to help hypnosis be better understood and more utilized by the general public because of its profound effects. And I am incredibly passionate about letting people know that this is it's a technology. It's an internal technology. It's something that is applied by astronauts and, Olympians and top performers all over the place. Why wouldn't it be for you? I talk to entrepreneurs a lot because it's easier to say to an entrepreneur, I can help you to make more money with less work, because money seems you give people what they want, and you sell people what they want, you give them what they need, right? So they come to me to make more money, and I give them peace and less work, and they make more money. It's pretty magical. But letting them know that because they have used the most powerful methodology for internal change work, for changing habits, that is available to us. I don't know anything more powerful. If there was something more powerful, I would be promoting that, because people suffer unnecessarily. And we are more powerful than we've been led to believe. That's the bottom line. It's why I've been a health nut my whole life. It's why I've been leading adults to step more into their power their whole life, is because I know that we're more powerful than we've led to believe. And what I know now is that if you master the subconscious, then you can live an epic life, more than you could ever consider possible. So yeah, there's a part of me that is, I'm just compelled to help adults to be free of the chains. Like, that's something I have to do. And then I say, well, here's the easy button. And I'm going to tell people, use hypnosis, use hypnotherapy. Like, change is hard. It's easier with a hypnotherapist. And so yes, I'm actually taking over as the president of the Hypnosis Education Association.
Yay, that's awesome.
Yeah, me and my cousin. Yeah, it's awesome.
And one of the things I've found, unfortunately, is that people will turn to hypnosis last. It's like, okay, I've tried everything.
Yeah.
Why not? And I want them to know, if you would step into hypnosis first, everything will flow so much easier. Everything.
That's exactly what these people. So I've worked with, I ran a group. I've run more than 100 people through that group. Groups of entrepreneurial women mostly. I've run men's groups too, separately. And that is what I hear from them. Like, they had done so much professional development. They had all the certifications, the licenses, they had spent countless hours learning the skills, even what we call, personal development. And they would say, I wish I'd done this first. And you know what? That's how I felt too. When I sought hypnotherapy for a drastic experience I was living with, I thought, my goodness, I wish I'd done this first. I wish that the person who found me when I was 17 and I had extreme PTSD from a car accident. I wish that therapist knew hypnotherapy. I was helped. I mean, without that help, I don't know where I would be. I don't remember any of it. It was terrible. But I wish that she did. I wish that it was a first response to when people go to their doctor and they say they have anxiety or insomnia. I wish it was just like, and not just I wish, but I'm working on it. We're working on it and with people like you, we're working on it. Because if there was a hypnotherapist within every mile, like there's psychologists that you can't even get in to see, by the way, then there wouldn't be competition, which is what people have this weird thing about. It's not competition, please. We've got billions of people to work with. It would be more like, oh, well, that must work, or there wouldn't be so many. And so my goal is
what a great thought. That's awesome.
There would be so many that would be doing great work, and they would have the language to educate others about what they do so much that they would lean in and take it. So that's part of what me and Sean are up to is absolutely that movement. And whether it happens here in the next 20 years or not we'll see something. But there's a whole lot of other changes in the world that have taken 50 or more and still aren't real or really have much progress. So even if we can make a little bit of ripple, if we have a percentage of more successful hypnotherapists, then our big love will have, done what it's supposed to do.
Well, I'm going to go a little woo on you for a minute and say that I think that I love woo. I could dig it. I mean, that's all about what I'm about. But I think that by doing what we're doing, by tapping in at that subconscious level and opening those doors even wider, it is spreading more and more and opening it in that universal consciousness of saying, we have so much here for you. I mean, to me, the subconscious is that channel, is the gateway, is the door to that universal energy that's out there. And there's so much information out there for us that when we become aware of something and acknowledge it, it's like more and more starts to open up and it starts to spread. And just like you talk about how something is created in one part of the earth and at the same time it's created in another part of the earth. Mm-hmm. I think that's what's happening with hypnosis right now and with that elevation, whatever you want to say, is it's spreading and becoming more aware for everyone, I think. And the more that we can talk about it, the more that we can share, the more people that we connect with who are willing to then share, it becomes even more aware for the other people out there. It opens up into their awareness, their visual, their audio being. And when you have something that continues to come into your awareness, which is what happened to me with hypnosis, was
it kind of comes into your awareness with a clarity.
Yeah.
It comes into your awareness with a clarity that you're like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, wait, that person said that, and that makes sense too. This is all about the same thing. See, there's definitely, something that happens when we empower other hypnotists to speak a language that connects with their potential client. Yeah. And the more we all speak a language that lets them know what's the power here, the faster it will be. And I'm thrilled. I have clients, I have people that I have clients that have contacted me. They knew me 7 years ago when I was their sales coach, right? And they'll call me and come to work with me, or they'll say, you know what? I've seen what you've been doing and I sought somebody local and it's changed my life. And that's beautiful. Like, that's all I want to know. I just want to know that you got the help that you needed, because if I'd known how powerful this was, I wouldn't have waited 17 years. I would have gone back and addressed my childhood traumas when I first became an entrepreneur and I realized the weird stuff that was happening. Right? So.
Yeah. And to stay on the woo train, there's some things shifting and moving. I'm also an astrologer, but there's some things shifting and moving that are literally shifting the way that we are in the world in terms of a very deep version of ourselves. So we're going from that pressure cooker of you got to get the stuff done. You have to work harder. You have to do all of these things to, let's network a little bit. Let's see what we can do
it's
together.
Collaboration, not competition. Let's see what happens when we come together. And the old way of being doesn't give you the results that you think it
doesn't.
Will. And it won't. And it just simply won't. You can't play the game that 2 generations ago played today. It's not going to give you the results that you think. It's not even the same game that it was 15 years ago. So let's step into this idea. Why don't you trust these crazy people right here who are saying the more you play, the more money you make? What?
That's the truth. That's the absolute
because
truth.
That's the truth. Because the more I play, the more money I make. That's crazy. Well, if I said, well, the more money I make, the more I play, that's obvious. Right?
Yeah, no,
actually, the more I play, the more money I make. Prove that to yourself. Get yourself into the woo train and then watch and then dive a little deeper. Dive a little deeper into the neuroscience of success and recognize that this isn't even necessarily, this is the truth. It's just getting the truth out there. It's just getting the truth out there. That's all.
I stepped into that a couple of years ago, and for the life of me right now, I can't remember who it was but he put a whole thing out about shifting, going into playing first, and the rest, comes with that. And I met this amazing artist, Valerie Giovanni, who did that. She changed her life. She changed her life completely by stepping into that play. And I had the privilege of going and taking a class from her, an art class. She's a painter. And I had decided, I think the year before, okay, I'm just going to try painting. And then that all came along and it was so much fun.
And it wasn't even just that you're going to try painting. You were learning painting from somebody who had taken the play story, the play methodology really, really seriously. So it was giving you so much more than just, but you had said yes to something that you're like, ooh, I want to do that. So yes to your yes is one of the things we get to trust, we get to do. But it's even then, if you've got the habits of the overachiever, the superachiever, and that, by the way, I know we're about to wrap up, but I got to put this in here. I have seen a correlation. I do not have study, but but the high ACE scores, okay, so the adverse childhood experience people who survive and some of us end up super successful because we are constantly trying to overcome the stories of our youth. So if you had, many adverse childhood experiences, many traumas, you are actually, I've seen the superachievers, the overachievers. They write the books. They tell you how horrible it was when they were young. If you're in that category especially, please recognize that you've got to play. You've got to give yourself peace because your health depends on it. Because that's what the whole ACE story actually ends in, is sickness because of what we dealt with, which is what Achievers know that zero burnout business growth is available for you, just like it was for me.
Absolutely. And you have a couple different things. So you have a Facebook group called Unlock the Money in Your Mind.
That's right.
Which is out there. And I think that's wonderful. And then you actually are working with hypnotists to get the hypnosis message out there. And that's a whole separate group. Do you want to mention that? Do you want to mention?
My husband and I run HypnoBiz in a Box. It's an all-in-one business software for hypnotherapists. And because our mission is to make hypnosis better understood and more utilized, and to help hypnotherapists be better compensated for the work that we do. Okay, so that's key, because in order for us good people do good things with their money, first of all. That's why. Because I want to have more good people do good things with money. And we are on a mission to actually, like I said, that putting a hypnotherapist within every mile, how a successful hypnotherapist that was seeing plenty of clients, that's part of my vision. It's what we see. It's what we do. So so HypnoBiz in a Box. You can find us on Facebook too, or you can find us, I think you could probably Google HypnoBiz in a Box. And if you're a hypnotherapist, we've got the 3 pillars of hypnotherapy success all wrapped in, which include our success mastermind. So that's us coming together to talk all things hypnobiz and uplift one another. We've got some brilliant people in there, and we're growing. So thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for all that. And then did you want to share some other places where they can connect with you, Melanie?
Well, I think the easiest path would be to find me on Facebook, so Melanie McCool, and get into my Unlock the Money in Your Mind group. You'll find that really easy from my profile. Within my group, you can access the Zero Burnout Business Growth Workshop. It's free right now, so you can take that. I could give you the URL, but, it's long.
It's easy to find. It's easy to find, yeah.
Right. So I think the easiest path would be to find your way to my group so you can get the workshop for free, or message me on Facebook. I might not be there right away because I don't live on it, but if you ask me for the workshop, I will be glad to give you the link so you can get in there and learn these life-saving, money-making tips on how to grow your business without ever burning out in the first place.
Love it. I love it. Thank you. That's a wonderful thing. Thank you for putting that out there.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thanks for being here, Melanie. I appreciate you.
That's really great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been such a fun conversation. I appreciate it. All right, Change Gang. I hope you go off into the week. Have a wonderful one, and that we meet up right here, same time next week. I hope today's episode was interesting to you in some way and fun. If so, hey, find someone to share it with. Maybe they need to hear it too, or maybe they'll just enjoy it. If you'd like, go ahead and grab my tips on supercharging your success. It includes a free short meditation to do just that. You can find that at bit.ly/supercharge your success. Until next time, happy day.